Alright guys, so it is Thursday. Race week is on Tuesday, so we still have a little bit of time, but the engine's still out of the car. And kind of messing with a couple of little things this morning. Went ahead and bolted the exhaust manifold on here, and have been kind of trying to figure out a solid way of actually making a brace for this thing right here. So there's a machine shop guy in my my little complex, and I've always known he's had like random little bits of stainless and aluminum, just all kinds of tons of little things laying around. So I went and asked him real quick, and he had this right here, which is a piece of stainless steel, and I think it's 304 stainless right there, and he had the little bolt and everything to go with it, but it was already threaded. I just cut it off, kind of trimmed it to kind of follow the contour right there. And so this mount right here, I was initially going to make a thing that went on this mount, and then I was just looking around a little bit more, and I found that little bolt hole right there, which is literally like perfect. It's even kind of shaped on the side. It's M10 by 125. So I basically took, this is a piece of mild steel tubing I had laying around, went ahead and just kind of smashed the ends of it shut with the vise, hammered it down a couple times, and did this one going this way, did that one going that way, drilled some holes in it, and as you can see, I think that's going to be a proper brace for this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get that welded up. Once we do that, I need to get a little extractor bit to try to get this guy out of here. I talked about that in the last video. Basically that little guy right there. I don't know if you can even see that, but that got busted off in there, and I think the alternator was actually a little loose. So yeah, just doing a couple little things like that, trying to get this thing dialed in. You know, we did do the one track day with it, basically how it was, but you know, decided that it'd probably be best to actually go ahead and weld that thing solid. Just, you know, get a little bit of weight off the manifold, especially 1,600 miles, 4-inch up pipe, the wastegate on here. I mean, this is pretty. That's a really heavy. It's a heavy turbo to be kind of just hanging off of that manifold all the way over here on the side. So plus it has a lot of leverage too. So, and the other thing too is if I ever needed to, I could always like egg out these holes if I ever needed to modify it or bend it, and it still should provide enough support to kind of you know, keep this manifold from cracking or the turbo from falling off and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get to welding. Alright, so we got that little stainless bung all welded on there. Looked pretty good, welded on pretty nice, and so now decided to come over here and mess with this whole Deechworks fuel system surge tank. So basically this pump is ready for 3 pumps, but as you can see, we got 2 DW400s in there. Install was pretty simple, basically just you know, threaded on the correct fittings. Comes with a plug, so you can see there's a plug right on the other side right there, because you could actually put 3 pumps in here, and comes with these little sleeves too. Where'd they go? So like you basically take this sleeve right here, and you could put like a Deechworks like a 300 in there, and that, you know, just because it's kind of, the 400s are a little bit bigger, so basically a little sleeve that'll slip in there. So a pretty cool little setup. Basically there's just some O-rings that kind of ride in right there to kind of keep the pump kind of secure, and then yeah, but the little things. I actually had already had a Deechworks 400 laying around, so one's a universal kit and one's actually for a 350Z, which doesn't really matter. All it is just a little sock to keep it from sucking up any like big stuff. So yeah, we'll go ahead and basically just throw this thing in here. Not throw it. I already checked all the lengths and everything, and I think we're looking pretty good. So yeah, basically stage one is directly straight up this hole, and then the stage 2 is just right here, and then that'll feed kind of in that manifold. And yeah, really nice to, you know, wire. Super easy. It's got positive, negative, all that stuff on the top and the bottom. So yeah, pretty stoked about it. I guess I'm gonna put the little bolts and stuff in the top of here, and then we'll kind of start mocking that stuff up. Ty ran to the store real quick to get an easy out for that little thing, and then once he gets back with that, we'll start probably throwing the engine in the car, and then we'll probably start playing with some of this stuff too. How you guys doing? All right, so day 2. So we're basically removing the fuel system. Had this 10N line coming right out of the back of the tank. It went up here, it widened into 2 8AN lines, went into the 2 DW350 ILs, came down over here, wide again into a single 8N that ran all the way to the front. So that is it's basically our fuel system, or was our fuel system. So now we're gonna get rid of these pumps from underneath the car, and we're gonna install one of these in the trunk to fill the lift pump. And then all we're gonna have under the car now is just a single line for the feed. And we're getting rid of all these pumps, and we're gonna move all this wiring and stuff up underneath, or actually up in the trunk. And so this little relay situation right here, this was, you know, this is one of those things where you get her done to get to the track or get on the dyno, and then it works, and then you never change it. So if you guys ever do anything like this, I always recommend, you know, getting another deadline, and then just trying to redo it right before that one. So that's what we're doing here, is I'm redoing all this stuff. And again, we didn't have any issues with these pumps. We were dropping a little bit of pressure on the dyno, but that was because I only had it wired with one relay for both pumps, which was, you know, again, one of those things where you just got her done to get her done. But then I put in 2 pumps, and we were able to hold, I think it was like 5 bar of fuel pressure. So yeah, definitely a lot of fuel going through this thing, a lot of fuel pressure too, with the amount of boost that we're running. So these pumps were fine, but we're just gonna be using one of these and then the surge tank now. So we went ahead and installed the trailer hitch. It mounts on there pretty simple. Basically it just bolts right on the back of this little frame rail thing, and uses a big old bolt. And then it actually ties in right here to this, this little trunk mount, or the little tow hook right there. Same thing over here. And then went ahead and removed that whole fuel system stuff from right here, all the pumps and the little Ys and stuff. And I basically just used a little union right here, just female to female, or male, you know, dual male thing. Get it right there, got some P-clamps kind of holding it in, going around. Still gonna put something around here just so we don't have any vibration stuff. And you know, that'll kind of happen. But I am waiting on one more shipment from Amazon to get to my house today. Basically need an 8N ORB from the pump to actually go to the 10N line that's gonna feed up to some of the other stuff. I don't know. 8N ORB, I don't even know what it is. Anyhow, that's coming. I have a set of tow arms, as you can see right here. My tow is all the way basically maxed in, and we still need to go in just a little bit more on the tow adjustment. So I have a set of aftermarket arms that we need to put on there. I think it's something about the hub that they use or something. That's what Hub City says, is just to use you know, an aftermarket one to where you could pull it in a little bit more and you could get the toe nice and straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that while it's up on the lift. And yeah, we still got lots of stuff. It's basically, it's noon, and I'd like to be on the dyno by 4 today.
Oh,
and the engine's not even in there yet.
Hey, you should have said that this morning. I didn't know that.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah,
There's a dyno.
There's a dyno day in there.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You didn't say that.
Yeah. So, and I also need to install metal valve stems in these because they got slicks on them. So I need to do metal valve stems, and I got lots of things going on right now, guys. But yeah, we're getting her done. 2,000 pounds right there, and I got the trailer hitch from the Mustang. Oh, and I even brought the trailer. So if you guys wonder what the trailer is I'm using for drag week, Rocky Mountain Race Week, is actually going to be this thing. So this is actually 5x8, and since you could only use 4x8, so I think that's what, 32 square feet. So basically 5, I could do like 5 times 6.4, so I could come back 6.4 feet, and I'm basically going to put a board, and I'm going to take this thing off. I don't even know if I could take this thing off, because I think the way the hinges are welded, I think it's just freaking stuck on there forever. But maybe I'll fold it down, and then just so we don't have to deal with this thing just kind of rattling around and doing some other stuff. But yeah, I think that's the plan, is to get this thing kind of prepped. Maybe not necessarily right now, but later today or tomorrow. And then we need to go for like a really long drive in this thing too, and actually see how this thing's gonna work. All right, guys. So Ty went ahead and mounted some metal valve stems in the schlickies, because that's what you need. And then was over here messing with the engine right before. It's basically gonna go in like right now. But what I went ahead and did is, in the last video, I kind of showed you guys where it messed up the block right there on the bottom. And so what I went ahead and did is right here on the back of the transfer case, is there's this really nice, yeah, it's like an M12 bolt. That's pretty solid bolt. But just took a piece of angle iron, you can see, and welded that right here. And that should give us enough space, hopefully, to actually hit that mount. And I guess we'll see if it actually fit. Actually, I'm kind of scared now. Okay, so decided to pull the engine back out real quick, just because it wouldn't actually fit with going in. So we have to put this bracket in after. But that whole little brace thing that I was I was pretty unsure of, is actually going to work. But Jamie, we actually just got a package delivered to the house. Pretty stoked about. So right here, this is that upgraded shift fork, or the shift selector actually. And so this is made out of a harder material. I think it's designed just a little bit different, just to give it a little bit more strength, and different materials and stuff. And that's basically the only option around for upgrading your little shift selector thing. So as you've seen, I broke that thing off at the track, and I guess that's a really common issue on these things. So went ahead and got that. And then also right here, you can see here's a little spring and a big spring. So this is a like a detent pin upgrade kit. So basically there's these little balls right here that go on your shift forks. So like when you're like going first through second, like you know how it kind of has that little bit of a click. So this actually makes that a lot firmer, and makes it more like a positive, and just feels a little bit better. So, and I guess with like a, you know, if we're racing it or something, it won't pop out. But yeah, Speed Factory, awesome stuff. They make you know, they have tons of fast cars out there, tons of record-breaking cars, and have broke a lot of records with their cars. So definitely nice to get some of their products on this thing. But yeah, let's finish getting this thing back together. Oh, engine and everything is in there. Basically what I did is shaved down that bolt and actually kind of egged out the housing just a little bit, to where we could like pull the transfer case down and like put the bolt in, thread it in a little bit, and then slide it back up and tighten it up. Worked fine. So it's all officially mounted in here and everything is good, ready to go. But now I'm gonna go ahead and swap over this Speed Factory little upgraded shift fork thing right there. So this is the newer one, and this is what I broke at the track. So this is, like I said, basically the only option for upgrading these things. And so I'm kind of stoked to have some more confidence in it. And the other thing that I did is I actually got a brand new shaft right here. So this is the shift selector shaft, which this thing goes on. And so you can see this one, it just has this slightest of a little bend to it. And you know, again, just from freaking rowing gears and doing all that type of stuff. So got a brand new shaft, putting on the new Speed Factory thing right there. We got the new springs and everything installed over there. Just gonna do this, and then we're basically just gonna thrash on this thing to try to get it back together. So this thing's coming back together, got the manifold on it, and you can see the little brace works out freaking perfect. So we got the new shifter, all that stuff in there, and it seems like it's going into reverse and all that stuff just fine now. So pretty stoked about that. We got a 6-speed, where we actually have a 4-speed dog box with overdrive, technically.
2-speed overdrive.
But look at that. I mean, I'm pretty stoked on that little thing right there, because I was like, literally when I was trying to figure out how to mount a little brace on here, I had no clue where it even freaking starts. So pretty stoked with that. Looks pretty good, doesn't get in the way of anything, and yeah, I think we should be pretty solid with that. So So yeah, got some more line or some heat stuff on this fuel line over here. And then the only other thing I want to do is add a little bit of heat line to this. I think I have a little extra left. And then, so yeah, the other thing that we have is actually this giant, huge turbo blanket. So cut a hole in that. So we're going to try to fit that guy on now that everything's all together over here.
Probably make like a license plate.
Yeah, some sort of
and then with some like heat tape or something.
Some little bracket thing to kind of, well, having the turbo blanket will help a little bit, but yeah, then we're going to make some sort of something to help with that. Whew, man, so it is this is the next day. It is Saturday at 10 a.m. The track just opened for test and tune. So I think that's going to be basically our only opportunity to test before Tuesday. So it is Saturday. And so last night I was here till like 1 o'clock, super tired. I was like almost falling asleep. I've been getting into the shop earlier during the day. So we've been working more so during the day, and then so like the late nights, like they affect me a little bit more, just because we started working at like 10, versus starting working at like 10 o'clock at night. So we had a whole day yesterday, just tons and tons of little things, just buttoning stuff up, like finalizing it, and just all like the minor little changes. So we went ahead and we built this whole fuel system back here. Obviously the AWD lines, we installed a flex fuel sensor right there. So we have the return to the tank. We have the return from the fuel rail with the flex fuel sensor that fills up this tank. We have the feed right here, which I'm not proud of this thing right here, but this is what we could do with the fittings that we had. So basically 10 AN, pre-filter, pump, 10 AN to here, and then 8 AN up to fill the surge tank. And then this is the feed from the surge tank, but as you can see, we still need to do some wiring, and we need to do some wiring for the flex fuel sensor. So reason I'm putting flex fuel sensor in here is I have some new gallons or new 55-gallon drums of E85 over there, but it seems like here in Colorado right now, some of the local stations have had about E60, which is actually what we dyno tuned it on when it made the 890 or whatever. So when you go to E60, you have a little bit more fuel system, so you can actually make a little bit more power, and there's a little bit more energy in gasoline than there is in ethanol. So it takes more ethanol to make the same amount of power that you would, but on regular pump fuel, it doesn't have like the knock protection that E85 does, or ethanol does. So when you kind of have that E60 blend, I think that's kind of a decent sweet spot. So you don't necessarily need E85 100% to make big power. E60 and stuff is fine as long as it's kind of tuned for it. But we're going to kind of get this thing set up on flex fuel, so on the road we could actually see, hey, do we have E85? Do we have E55? And then I'm actually going to go in and make a little blend table to where it should just kind of auto adjust to where if we do have to stop at a fuel station and just pump in some 91, we should be fine. This thing doesn't get into boost until like 6,500, or it doesn't get into boost until like 5,500 RPM. So we shouldn't be like high loading it, making like 20 pounds of boost at like 4,000 RPMs, like towing up a hill, just because the turbo's too big for that. But yeah, so many things that we need to do. Got everything buttoned up over here yesterday, mounted the radiator differently. Had to figure out and do a little bit more stuff with the alternator to get that on there properly. A bunch of stuff over here. We heat wrapped all the fuel lines, wastegate and everything is on. Because I made that little mount for the turbo, it actually clocked it just a little bit different. So I'm gonna have to cut another little slot in the hood. Well, the plan is I went ahead and removed the driver's passenger seat, and I'm gonna wire the 2 fuel pumps right now. I'm gonna stage the second one with the ECU, and then just so it doesn't come on, all the freaking time. So stage the second one with the ECU, just so it comes on when we actually get in boost, so we're not just overrunning. There's no need to run 2 fuel pumps the whole time. Pretty much only when we need it. And then the plan is to go to the track. So that's the plan as of now. We do think we figured out the issue with the fuel cut. So basically, right now what's happening in the log is the parameters for no lift shift are wide open throttle at basically wide open throttle, but there's not a VSS. There's not a VSS. So my vehicle speed sensor does not work in here. And so what's happening based upon the logs is we're up on the two-step. It goes like ignition cutting, just because that's what it's doing to ignite it in the exhaust. So it's doing but then as soon as I drop the clutch, because it's a clutch pedal position, so I'm basically holding the e-brake button, so it's on two-step, but then I'm letting out the clutch, and that is when the clutch is depressed, it's in no lift shift. So it's no lift shift and basically the launch control at the same exact time, or there's like a handoff issue, because seriously, as soon as it goes off of that and it goes to no lift shift, so I think it's anti-lag and then it goes no lift shift, when they happen at the same time or right after each other, there's something happening right there and it just cuts. And so I don't think it was an issue with the wiring. I don't know why it wasn't doing it last year, except for when we were running the last event, one of the last events where I actually did the front wheel drive. My two-step actually wasn't working because I didn't have the button was being weird. And so I was launching on the rev limiter, which makes sense why it wasn't doing then. So we're going to test some of that stuff out at the track today, and we're actually going to tow the trailer to the track. But it's 10 o'clock in the morning. They're running until 6 p.m. tonight, so I have a little bit of chance. I have a chance to actually wire some stuff. But man, I like the stress level. It's just like I look at the car and I'm like, all right, where do I start? Because it was basically a shell yesterday. So we had the complete engine tranny, all that stuff out of here. We had the complete fuel system and everything out of here. So I was like, man, this thing's a freaking shell. So we basically redid everything, put everything back together. Oh, I'm really excited because my IAT sensor actually fits above the scatter shield or whatever. So, yeah, I got to get her done, and that's it. So I'm gonna get to work.
All right, guys. So Trevor's pretty much just been thrashing on this thing. I just put some coolant in there, buttoned up a couple little things in the engine bay, added this turbo blanket over the master cylinder and booster there to kind of protect that from boiling. Trev's been wiring away over here. I think hopefully we're ready to start it. So
doing a bunch of stuff.
And then I don't know if you guys saw last time the whole surge tank lift pump set up. So coil packs actually weren't even plugged in, so that's why it sounds weird. So Trevor's gonna go give her another fire real quick. Plugged in, is it not reading?
Yeah, it's not reading. Alright guys, we are driving to the track right now, basically just sitting at a stoplight. Ty has to head out of town, so I got all the well, not tires and tools, but just tools and things in here. Eating the sandwich that Jamie made me earlier. We're driving it to the track. We're not towing the trailer. I wish we were, but everything's on there. So I basically have almost anything that my ECU can see, or at least that I would want to see while like driving. It's literally all right there, all on the CAN bus. I can turn up the boost, I can turn traction control, I can do all, I mean obviously I don't have the traction control stuff right now. I mean she drives, it goes into 6th gear. So I'm pretty happy with that.